Imagine like a consciousness floating in a dark, silent void. No body, no senses, doesn't know it exists. You've probably been taught that Descartes um, invented the concept of, I think, therefore I am.
Right, but well, a medieval Islamic philosopher actually used that exact thought experiment to prove human consciousness, like 600 years earlier.
Which is wild. Today we are doing a deep dive into Mark Wells' blog post, Islam's Golden Legacy, where faith meets logic and reason. We're heading into the Islamic Golden Age, so roughly the 8th to 14th centuries.
Yeah, to really shatter the assumption that faith and science are always, locked in a boxing match.
Exactly. Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
How exactly did a religious text actually kickstart a scientific and logical revolution?
Well, it started with an explicit command. I mean, the Quran doesn't just suggest taking a look around. It repeatedly demands intellectual engagement.
So it's not just a casual suggestion.
No, not at all. It urges followers to observe the mechanics of the heavens, the earth, and even the biology of camels. Seeking knowledge wasn't framed as a secular hobby. It was a fundamental religious duty.
But hold on, plenty of religious texts tell people to look at the stars to appreciate God, right? How did appreciating God turn into strict mathematical categorization and empirical science?
Because to fulfill those religious duties properly, you needed incredible precision, like calculating exact prayer times and the precise geographic direction of Mecca.
Oh, right, from anywhere in an expanding empire.
Exactly. That required advanced astronomy and trigonometry. They had to pull in knowledge from everywhere to solve these very practical, faith-based problems.
Which perfectly sets up the House of Wisdom in Baghdad. Instead of thinking of it as a medieval Silicon Valley, I like to think of it more like an open-source intelligence server.
That's a really great way to put it.
Right. You had these developers, or, well, scholars, translating Greek, Persian, and Indian code into a universal language, which was Arabic. It allowed brilliant minds from all over the world to finally collaborate and sort of debug each other's work.
What's fascinating here is what happens when you amass that much global knowledge in one place. You can't just read it.
You have to organize it.
Yeah, you have to verify it, categorize it, and find the underlying logic to see how it all fits together. That necessity birthed entirely new systems of logic.
Right. Which brings us to the pioneers organizing this massive data set. You have al-Farabi.
Yes, known as the second teacher right after Aristotle.
Because he basically built the filing system for human logic.
Okay.
And then Ibn Sina, who synthesized centuries of pharmacology into the canon of medicine. But getting back to that floating void I mentioned at the start, that was Ibn Sina's creation.
Yeah, the floating man thought experiment. He asked, if you are suspended in a void with absolutely no sensory input, like no sight, no touch, would you still be aware of your own existence?
And he argued yes, proving self-existence through pure, unadulterated reason alone.
Right. If we connect this to the bigger picture, this kind of rigorous philosophical debate wasn't happening in a vacuum. It was deeply tied to Kalam.
Which was essentially Islamic scholastic theology, right?
Exactly. Scholars used rigorous logical discourse to defend and explore their faith.
Because sitting in a dark void proving you exist is great, but thought alone can't cure a disease or track a star. So how did they bridge the gap between sitting in a room arguing philosophy and actually testing the physical world?
Well, that leap gives us Ibn al-Haytham. He looked at the ancient Greek theories of optics. The Greeks, like Euclid and Ptolemy, literally thought our eyes acted like flashlights.
Wait, like shooting out invisible beams of light?
Yes, shooting beams out to illuminate objects so we could see them.
Which sounds ridiculous to us now. But how did he actually prove them wrong without just arguing more philosophy?
By building a camera obscura. He created a completely dark room in the tiny pinhole. He observed that light from outside objects traveled in straight lines through that hole and projected upside down on the wall.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, he mathematically proved that light enters the eye from an outside source. The eye doesn't emit it.
So he didn't just give us the lens of the scientific method as a neat metaphor. He literally laid out the functional playbook. You hypothesize, build a physical experiment to test the mechanism, and verify it with math.
And later, you get Nasir al-Din al-Tusi using those rigorous mathematical frameworks to build complex planetary models, which eventually helped bridge Ptolemaic and Copernican ideas.
The legacy is just monumental. The West owes its libraries, algorithms, and hospital systems to this era.
Absolutely. Now, while this rapid progress eventually stalled after the Mongol invasions, the framework survived. Today, modern Muslims like Nidhal Gesem advocate reviving ijtihad,
Which is the practice of independent reasoning.
right, to tackle incredibly complex modern issues like climate science and AI ethics.
So what does this all mean?
It proves that knowledge thrives on integration. When a society's core values demand rigorous intellectual inquiry, you get a golden age. Faith and reason just don't have to be opposing forces.
It leaves you with something to really ponder. If a ninth century society used their core spiritual beliefs to supercharge scientific discovery rather than suppress it, how might our modern hypersecular tech world benefit from integrating a similar, deeply rooted ethical framework into our own pursuit of innovation?